Hey little buddy, what have you got there? A magic card? Holy shazbot! So, you want to learn how to play Magic the Gathering? Well, too bad! Ah, just kidding. Let's learn. First thing you're going to need is a deck, some dice, or some life counters. Head to your local gaming shop. The staff there will be able to help you find what you need. So now that you have a deck, it's time to find an opponent. But who? A luchador? No. Cowboy cat turtle? How about a crow? Wait, yourself? The robot? Yep. First, you gotta shuffle your deck. But what isn't a deck? A magic deck consists of 60 cards. What are cards? A creature card consists of these things. The name of the creature, what type of creature it is, the text box. It may contain extra abilities that the creature has, but for this scenario, I picked bears, so it has nothing special. Its mana cost, which will tell you how many lands must be tapped to put the creature into play. Its expansion symbol, which is to tell you what set it comes from. And its power and toughness. Power is how strong its attacks are, and toughness is how much damage it can take before being destroyed. A deck can contain any card so long as you don't use more than 4 of one card. This deck has 24 lands. These are cards that you tap sideways to gain resources. 4 instant cards. These cards can be played at any time and also alter the game temporarily in many different ways. And 32 creature cards. Creature cards are permanents that players use to attack and defend themselves. Decks can be themed in many different ways. Some people like dragons, some people like goblins, or even humans. I chose bears. Bears. Bears, 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 bears. Rather than have you sit and watch this epic battle of wits between man and machine, I've prepared this lovely and boring diagram of how to play Magic the Gathering. It's important that you understand how and where cards are played. These areas are called zones. The library is where your newly shuffled deck goes. The graveyard is where destroyed or non-permanent cards go after being played. Your hand is where you hold cards that you've drawn during the game. The battlefield is where spells, creatures, or other permanents are played. Play begins with both players at 20 life. When that number reaches 0, you lose the game, and your opponent wins. And now we'll deal with turn phases. Beginning phases is such. Untap any tapped cards. These are cards that have been turned sideways. Upkeep, which is when any effect that normally would happen at the beginning of a turn would happen. In this scenario, we won't be dealing with anything upkeep related. Then there's the draw phase, in which a player must draw 1 card from their library. As Little Buddy won the role to go first, he must skip this step to make the game a little more fair for the player who goes second. The first main phase is when players are allowed to play cards, such as sorceries or instants. During this or the second main phase is when you get to play your 1 mana for the turn. I will refer to tapping cards. This is what it looks like. It's to signify that I'm using the card in such a way that I won't be able to use it until my next turn. Combat phase won't matter for a while, so let's just skip it for now, but we'll come back to it. Second main phase. Same as the first. Next. The ending phase is where any end of the turn effects would take place. You then, when you're finished, tell the other player that it is his turn. For the sake of time, I won't be showing any of Monsieur Robo's turns. But imagine that he had one roughly about the same as Little Buddy did. This time, Little Buddy's gonna draw a card. Oh, wow. He got one of our instant cards. Giant Growth. During the first main phase, Buddy will play another mana onto his side of the battlefield. He then taps both of his forests, each one giving him 1 green mana. The 2 mana he has, he uses to play Golden Bear, which costs a colorless and 1 green. To pay for colorless means you can use any color mana to pay for it. Sadly, we're gonna skip combat phase one more time, because a newly summoned creature has summoning sickness, which means that they can't be tapped until the beginning of your next turn. Well, nothing to do, so we'll skip to the robot's turn. He's gonna play a card that I made up called Ham-Fisted Goblin. Its power is 2, and it has 1 toughness. And it's a goblin. Buddy takes his turn as usual, untapping and drawing a card from his library. He gets a land, so he goes ahead and he plays it onto the field. Now he's gonna go to the combat phase, and his bear is ready to attack. He taps the bear to show that it's an attacker. His opponent then decides who, if anyone, is going to block the attack. He chooses the goblin to block the attack. Comparing their stats, Buddy realizes that his bear, though he will kill the goblin, will also be defeated himself. So he decides to pull a trick out of his sleeve, playing his giant growth. This gives the bear +3/+3, which makes it a 5/5 bear. Now, because its toughness is higher than the goblin's power, he'll survive the fight. But the goblin's still gonna bite it. Buddy uses his remaining mana during his second phase to cast another bear onto the field. For the sake of time, Buddy is gonna continue the onslaught. Every turn, he's going to attack with both bears, thus bringing the robot's life to 0. And the game ends. Buddy wins! Nice work! Well, did you have fun learning to play Magic today? I said, did you have fun learning to play Magic today?